Thank you, Dominic. Hello, and thank you for joining us for one of qBotica's Virtual Roundtable events. Today's focus is how intelligent automation is changing healthcare and improving the community of care. I'm Lisa Weber, today's moderator for the event. Prior to my role at UiPath, I spent 25 years leading hospital operations and physician networks. I transitioned to UiPath 4.5 years ago as the director of the healthcare industry practice, focusing on automation within the provider space. Also here are three esteemed panelists with whom I will be asking questions about the value of leveraging intelligent automation and the opportunities and challenges this technology brings. I'll now let the panelists introduce themselves. Suresh, let's start with you.
Hi, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. My name is Suresh. I'm the Chief Transformation Officer for Exponent Health. At Exponent Health, we are a medical and pharmacy cost containment company who work with the payers, PBMs, self-insured employer groups to reduce the overall cost of care. That's in short, we are there to help reduce the costs in the healthcare.
Great, thank you for that. Selva, let's hear from you.
Hey, thank you, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. I am Selva Raj, the Senior Vice President, Healthcare Division of qBotica. I started my career as an electronics engineer, and I jumped into healthcare since 2000 when I was assigned an integration project in the US about analog and digital mediums. Now I am into, since 2020, we have started working on more of integrations with the EMRs and clearinghouses, and our solution is to provide a unified approach to EMRs and practice management systems via a single interface, and that needs a lot of automation and intelligent automation rather. So that's what I am doing right now with qBotica.
Great, thank you. And Mahesh, last but not least, Mahesh.
Absolutely, Lisa. Thank you, and thank you everyone for your time today. So I'm Mahesh Vinayagam. I'm the CEO and founder of qBotica. I've been in the technology outsourcing space for over 25 years right now, and about 5 years ago, I left my only job that I ever had to launch qBotica because I knew AI and automation was going to be the next genre of the technology evolution and transformation. And as a technology enthusiast and a professional, I wanted to kind of really help out customers as they adopt these technologies, how to ease their pressure of adoption. So had a fantastic run to, thanks to customers like Suresh and several other customers that we've worked in the past and currently working together, and partners like you, Lisa, and UiPath. So I'm excited to be here and discuss one of the hottest topics about healthcare today.
For sure, great, thank you so much. So, before we get started, I thought I'd share kind of what I'm seeing in healthcare. We're all familiar with the trends affecting healthcare these days. We have staffing shortages, constantly changing regulatory environment, and rising costs. As an employee of UiPath, I work with numerous health systems to automate workflows, reduce manual, error-prone processes, and to close the gaps of interoperability between these systems to improve care delivery. Since I started in 2018, the value of intelligent automation has expanded outside of the administrative departments like RCM with claim status checking and supply chain management for ordering PPE, and HR for provider credentialing, etc. So they've expanded into areas that are critical to the organizational success, the patient's experience, and the quality of care the patient receives. So we're starting to see a significant value gains in the patient access and clinical departments. Intelligent automation is making a difference truly by improving the patient's and staff's experience and enhancing the quality of care is what I'm seeing. The ability of this intelligent automation to aggregate and synthesize data from different systems and to push for integration and interoperability makes this technology a huge value driver. So that's what I'm seeing, and I'm definitely excited to jump in. So let's get started. So Suresh, questions for you. So will you share a specific example of how intelligent automation has made a significant impact on patient care within your organization?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we work in the industry for reducing the healthcare costs, and I worked in both the provider segment as well as the payer segment. The things that you were talking about, the billing and appeals management, denial management. I worked in that area as well as we implemented some of these technologies in the cost of right now for claim pricing solution. The significant impact these AI or automation solutions are bringing to the table are they're improving the efficiency, they're increasing the speed, and they're reducing the overall inconsistencies that were there with the human processes. Healthcare has been predominantly a service-oriented industry, so it's obviously filled with manual processes to deliver the solutions, deliver the end result to the end consumers. So from a care standpoint, when we talk about prior authorization, approval for a prior authorization, that's a typical use case that can be fully end-to-end automated. Granted, all the parties, all the stakeholders, provider and the payer are on the electronic systems, then you can automate it. Where we have implemented intelligent automation in a recent scenario is the claims that have been received in a manual paper form has to be inputted into the system in order for us to be able to price this out of network claims. So whenever a patient goes out of network, the payer and provider do not have a relationships, and sometimes they end up in a paper form, and that's the process that we automated. We used to do about 75 claims a day as a manual data operation where we load it, we price it, we send it back to the payer. Now we have enabled ourselves to scale it up to almost like 500 claims per day. And we used to have 4 people actually working on this division to just load these claims and make sure that all the pricing elements are present in the forms. Now that's all done in an automated fashion. And it's mind-boggling to see still the paper presence in healthcare. Almost one of the availability studies showed like 6% of healthcare claims are still on a paper, and that is still there is a lot more room for improvement and automation leveraging in this particular segment.
Great. So would you say AI has enhanced your decision-making capabilities and improved and led to improved patient outcomes?
Yeah, so from a care standpoint, right? Like certainly when we see how do we put together a care plan for a given member in order for us to be able to deliver the right care to the patient. So in the past, there are always protocols that were defined, and they were static protocols. Let's say a diabetic patient with the depression and some other blood pressure and other issues, cardiology issues, there used to be a predefined care plan that everybody had to follow. There was no personalization available in the process. So now with the AI coming into play, it has changed overall. Like, and now personalization at each individual level, depending on their comorbidities, depending on the current scenario for that particular member, it gets automatically customized. And even it is more adaptive too. As you go through one step in the process in the protocol, you can actually adjust the next step. Even if you started with plan A, you could dynamically adjust the next steps in order to make it more personalized. I think that personalized care is coming along. I mean, generative AI and some of these tools that are coming now becoming mainstream, they have a long way to go, and they have a huge room for improving the entire healthcare. Like, so that in my view, I think technology and human integration and collaboration is going to change the entire landscape of healthcare and care delivery.
I couldn't agree more. Love the idea of personalized healthcare, the social determinants of health, where you live, your lifestyle, really getting personalized medicine, I think is great. So quick question, and then I've got something for Selva. What additional benefits, such as cost reduction, have you realized in the administrative areas from intelligent automation? So anything other than cost reduction?
Yeah, so the other is administrative simplification, so to speak, right? Like, so when we look at these archaic processes in terms of denial management, where everything is a paper process, like there is no automated technology process there, and with AI detecting why that particular denial happened and being able to determine what is the right appeal letter, like is this just expecting a medical record to be attached, or is this a prior authorization that was obtained but missed in the entire process that needs to be attached. All of these are the use cases that we have implemented where we can actually look at how do we automate this entire process and not have humans look at it, not just from automation perspective, but also looking at it more intelligently, understanding these denials, understanding these prior auth requests, and making sure that we pass the right information to the right party.
Great. So Selva, how about you? I mean, how has intelligent automation helped in streamlining your healthcare operations and reducing errors and delays in patient care?
Right. So I'm going to add a few more use cases that Suresh already mentioned. Suresh mentioned about the claims, right? The paper claims. And he was giving the figure of about 6%. So in this time and age of EFTs and ERAs, I'm talking about the payments now. So maintaining patient ledgers are supposed to be a lot more easier, but in reality, there is about 10 to 15% of the payers still sending out checks and EOBs. So manually retrieving all this data from your ERA, from your EOBs, and then putting them onto a patient ledger is a very cumbersome process, which needs a lot of staff. And then it is prone to manual data entry errors. So with qBotica, we have done an implementation where, so we help retrieve all this paper EOBs. So there are paper EOBs from several payers. So it starts with identifying the payer, identifying the format of what the paper EOB is. So our automation starts there. So we retrieve the data, and then we do a lot of regression logic on that, whatever the data that we required, and a lot of business rules to validate the authenticity of the recognition. And we apply a lot of AI on that to ensure 100% recognition. So basically, because these are all financial numbers that needs to get into your EMR without a manual intervention. So that's what we did. And so we used UiPath's bot to accomplish that particular function. So having done this, so this kind of reduced, I mean, so like a human can do whatever the speed the human can do, it is like 20 times faster than the human can do, and it is 100% error free. So this is one of the use cases that we achieved. And the other use case is the eligibility. So again, we're talking about not every payer here is real-time eligibility capable. They cannot answer your 270 request. They cannot send you a 271. So what do we do? So we still have to check our eligibility. Otherwise, we will be getting a denial. As Suresh said, that would be a eligibility denial. So and all that stuff. So what is the other way of doing this is we maintain a complete vault of all these websites where the eligibility information could be available of these payers and have the user credentials and all that stored in the vault. And the intelligent automation, so we have scheduled in such a way that it'll grab the patient appointments from your EMRs, and it can check the eligibility automatically, go to the website, grab all the data, bring it and put it back onto your user interface. And eligibility is not just whether your patient is active or not. It is about a lot of what is the remaining deductible, what is the procedure allowed, whether this procedure requires a pre-auth and all that stuff. So there comes the intelligent automation, not just grabbing data, but we have to check all that, filter that based on the practice, based on the specific specialty of the practice. So that is another good use case that we have done. And likewise, there are about 600 EMRs out in the market, and not every EMR is married to a particular clearing houses. So many EMRs are still agnostic to clearing house. So the way to integrate between these two could be a folder structure, could be an upload from a particular website into the clearing house. So that's how we should be able to process the claims out. So there is some kind of automation that we have built. So nobody has to manually do it. As soon as the provider logs in and signs the chart, and then the biller approves whatever the code that's been done and modifiers applied, it will be ready for the claim to be sent out. So our automatic automation does that part too. So that is another use case that we have done. So if you look at all these use cases, they all contribute. They all contribute to improving healthcare data accuracy and indirectly to the patient care.
Wow, that's fantastic. So back to Suresh. So,
Yeah.
with implementing intelligent automation across the healthcare landscape, what do you see are the biggest challenges? What are the biggest opportunities? And kind of a two-parter, what are the best practices for overcoming these challenges?
Yeah, so intelligent automation, the moment we use that word, people relate it to, oh, does that mean I don't get to do what I used to do before? That stigma still exists, right? Like, so we need to transform to more of this is a technology human collaboration. It's not a technology alone cannot solve the problem. So this is a collaborative effort where we leverage technology to improve our own processes and get to do more valuable services by the human efforts, right? Like, so that's one theme that I would say is something that I always encounter the moment when we are automating some process. People look at it, oh, so what happens to the person who is doing this? They get deployed to do better things in the organization. There is no dearth of work in healthcare for sure. So there is more work to be done. In the other thing that I would say, the intelligent automation, when we talk about implementing intelligent automation, it's a collaborative process between technology and the business owners as well. So the key part is making sure that the business understands what is the how we can leverage this technology to not only just do what we used to do, but enhance what we do. Which is, if we were just gathering the document and then passing it on to the next person, automating it just like that, where you just download it and send it to the next system, is not the right way to do it. Let's relook at the entire business process and see how we can leverage the intelligence that the bots can bring to the table. And there is always going to be a certain portion of a certain room for error, and let's factor that. Let's build the processes for managing those errors that are coming out of these bot processes. So I would say that those are the main two themes, Lisa, that helped us actually implement successfully many of these implementations, as well as educate the business to take it to the next level.
Great.
Yeah.
So you would say that intelligent automation has helped in reducing your staff's workload and improve their productivity and efficiency?
Correct. Yep. We are able to scale our processes by almost like twofold, fourfold, where we earlier 4 people used to manage that entire unit. Now only with 2 people, we are doing more load than what we used to manage.
Great. So Selva, what's your opinion? Have you seen intelligent automation help address the staffing shortages and improve the quality of care delivered?
Oh, sure. So I just wanted to write back on Suresh. So he was talking about intelligent automation, right? So it's not just automation, but intelligent automation. So one of the interesting use cases, one of the billing companies. So we did a project with a billing company where, billing companies deal with hundreds of providers, right? So they do billing services for hundreds of providers, and all these providers use different types of EMRs and clearing houses. But it's a nightmare for the billing company to handle, to monitor each of those applications, what is happening, how many details in, say, for example, Epic, how many details in the eClinical works, how many in the Allscripts. You could assign staff to take care of each of these applications and their details and flow. But what about the management? Does the management know what is happening? No. So we did an interesting use case wherein, so we automated, so the details were all coming into one particular application. So we did this integration for an application service provider. So this application service provider has integrated all these EMRs, taken the details, captured the details from all these applications and put it into one application to view all those details. And then, so based on the detail, so we can have multiple business rules which will suggest the user, so why this is denied and what is the action to be taken. And if there is no suggestion, somebody is going to definitely write a suggestion, or somebody is going to fix the claim. And the moment the claim is paid, the system learns, right? So the system learns and it becomes intelligent. And next time it suggests what your solution is. So that kind of intelligent automation does, you don't get a very bright practice manager with 20 years experience to address your denials just like that and then get it paid. So there is always a shortage of good staff. So this automation, so definitely, place complements the lack of workforce shortage and helps them get out of there.
Great. So how does intelligent automation help in managing and improving like data accuracy and data security and the explosion of data that we're having out there?
Overall, so if you look at the data accuracy, so as I mentioned earlier, so when we talk about retrieving data from claims and taking it to a system where you process your claims, or when you're taking data from payment paper. So you could run a lot of regression logics like, okay, there is multiple line items. So these are the individual line item fees and what should be the total. But when your recognition is not passing through certain things, you can intelligently capture that. Hey, this information is not matching with this and all that stuff. So the regression logics that we are writing helps attain the data accuracy.
Great. So let's talk about how qBotica delivers value to its customers like Suresh by offering this intelligent automation as a service. So Mahesh, sorry. Can you walk us through how delivering intelligent automation as a managed service is accelerating the meeting of the challenging demands in healthcare?
Yes, Lisa. So, like I was just walking by an airport. I think probably it must be Chicago airport. And then I saw this, one of our competitors or one of the other peers, I should say, in the automation industry said, right, let the lawyers do legal work, right? And let us do the paperwork. It's like, that applies here in this field as well, right? So already the healthcare is actually facing so many different headwinds, right? Whether it is the staffing strategies, the complexity of the regulations, the cost of even doing stuff has actually phenomenally increased in the last couple of years per se, right? I think one of the most distressed industries, right? So look at supply chain and it'll be healthcare, right? And this industry needs as much help as it can get, right? And why would somebody that's actually in charge of running a group practice or a healthcare organization be so focused in setting up bots, installing stuff, installing infrastructure, collecting these requirements, implementing those requirements, managing those developers and their salaries and their expectations and so on and so forth, right? So I think what we have seen is that end users, particularly in these critical industries, right, must do what they are supposed to do in terms of caring about the community, caring about their patients and looking at those levers, negotiating with their partners, with their suppliers and so on and so forth. As such, there is so much they need to be doing than building, automation infrastructure, running that infrastructure, worrying about the utilization of the infrastructure and so forth, right? So I think that's where we come in. We say, hey, you know what? We will take care of those for you, right? You don't have to worry. You don't even spend the time to think about your bill of materials, right? Just tell us, okay, what is that you're going to achieve? These are the 4 use cases, 5 use cases. We'll worry about the capacity that's required to deliver, whether it's the software, the hardware, the people, and also the timing, the scheduling of those, right? So we will kind of work with your priorities instead of, you having to kind of really work through that. I think that's the objective of providing RPA as a managed services, automation as a service to our clients. So we can actually help own the outcomes. Like we own the outcomes with our clients own the outcomes with their clients who are the patients. And eventually, I think everything matters in this industry, right? And a true story, like last week, I was in Texas meeting with the hospital chain, one of the fastest growing hospital chains. The founder has just exited, and he's actually kind of really, bringing up 20 facilities all over the United States. And they're talking about, okay, what are the major problems? Same thing, like you said, Lisa, staffing, right? How to actually get the nurses, the OTs, the PTs, the RNs, and all of those folks. And I asked them like, okay, you know what? I might know, apart from what we do, I might know a couple of folks that actually in the nursing industry. What is that you need? Like any specialization that you need? They're like, no. If they are an RN, that's all I need. I don't need to be in my specialization, right? That's kind of the problems, real problems that they are facing. And I think as much assistance that we can give them in kind of looking at the other things, the IT work, the automation work as a service that they can focus on the real work and focus on what's more important. I think that's kind of where we come in, Lisa.
That's great. So what customers benefit the most from your model of intelligent automation as a managed service? You've mentioned that company that was kind of in this hyper growth. So, who are the best candidates?
I think, both sides, right? So somebody that has a very high current operating cost, right? And if they had to recalibrate their current utilization of staff and their resources better, they could actually say, okay, I can bundle those up for you, and we could take care of like Selva talked about those use cases, right? Prioritizations, claims automation, or the denials automation, so on and so forth, right? And those kind of pieces, end to end, in terms of like the setting up those infrastructure, creating the automations, if you will, and then the integrations and delivering the transactions that they need. That's kind of one of the ways that we could actually help them out. And eventually, see, the whole idea here is that once you know what problems are we going to solve from a technology problem for these clients, then we could actually come in this from a size of the firm perspective, who are best fit, right? So I think like mid to kind of the middle tier, I would say, like group officers, like upcoming facilities, they're good candidates for us, as well as like billing service providers, right? And they're actually now really the space has become so competitive for them. The margins are so low, they could be going at us. And again, smaller group hospitals, right? So obviously the bigger ones have their own established legacy of doing things, and also we will eventually break there, right? I think they would see the value of how a niche boutique player like us coming and owning the outcomes will make a difference. But at this point, I would say like the mid-tier sector is kind of our target population, so they don't have to worry about so typically you need 4 to 5 specializations to do this automation work, right? So you need like a discovery specialist, an infrastructure specialist, an architect, developers, and so on and so forth, right? So I think instead of getting like 5 or 6 people, hiring them, training them, understanding the various technologies and making sure they're all in sync, they don't have to worry about it. They just kind of at the cost of literally half of those costs that they would spend on a group, on a team, they would actually spend with us. So we could actually run it for them.
Great. So what's the value that qBotica brings with working with its customers?
Yeah. So from a value standpoint, I think our experience, domain specialists, like for example, Selva and others. So we actually, for the fields that we work in, we just don't worry about the technology. We also make sure that we understand the domain, so we can actually provide relevant support to our clients and expertise. So we actually bring in that specialization. So they just not look into one aspect. They look at many such providers. So they know the problems that's happening across the industry, so they can proactively anticipate the problems and give to us. So that's one thing, so our ability to provide better advisories to our clients when it comes to automation. Then two, I think our expertise, right? We're one of the probably very few firms in the world that has a very significant product expertise and implementation expertise, right? So we are our own IP. So we are first and foremost an IP development company. So we actually have significant IP that we develop. We put in lots of investment. Although we are a bootstrap company, we actually spend time to build IPs, build accelerators, very niche. Then we have the topmost tier partnership with UiPath, for example, right? So we actually invest in that partnership because we know that there are only few problems that we could solve within our reach, within our current resources that we had in place. So in order to kind of really break into the bigger lead, we need additional support. So that's where UiPath comes in. So we have that partnership. So we can actually mix those two, and we can provide our clients the best experience. We are not just an implementation partner. We are just not a product partner that's wedded to our product and try to see, oh yeah, we'll make our product work according to what you need. Yay, you know what? I accept that my product may not meet your needs. I have the industry's best product that can come in and help fix it, and we move on. So we influence the outcome, get things done for our clients, and move it. So I think we are the most independent thinking service partner that any client can get. So I think that's where we stand out, Lisa.
Great, thank you. So one last question for Suresh. Suresh, you're been working with qBotica. Can you share your experience, and how has intelligent automation as a managed service really positively impacted your organization's overall productivity and profitability?
Yeah, as Mahesh was saying, it was pretty influential in how quickly we were able to deliver the product, the overall solution to our business. So we actually used the qBotica's managed service. So all orchestrators are deployed by them and managed by them. And within, I believe, 4 to 6 weeks, we were able to deliver our first bot. And the organization had not seen any bots. We have developed some of these claim status bots in the past using Selenium and other technologies, but this was our first UiPath implementation, but we got it done in 4 to 6 weeks time frame. So that was pretty significant in how quickly we were able to deliver the value to the business. And then we are actually implementing one more. So once you get used to delivering more value, we are adding one more bot now, which is actually going to do provide a bill automation. So we are developing a new technology called XP on Me, which helps members eliminate the balance bills. We will help members manage those balance bills as well as work on behalf of them with the provider to resolve those bills. And for that, we needed a provider bill to be able to, once the member captures the provider bill, we wanted to be able to OCR it and go through the entire data entry process. We don't have to have users do that work. And we probably in a couple of weeks, we were able to put it all together, and now that's working through. So and we are already looking at how do we enhance it to take it all the testing automation that we have been doing more of a regression test suites that we have developed using code. Now, how can we leverage the testing manager in UiPath to actually automate all of those processes? So with working with qBotica, right, it was pretty easy for us to scale from start with one implementation and then take it to one step at a time, and not really worry about the back end part, which is the orchestrator. How do I deploy it? How do I manage the servers? That we have eliminated it, and overall, it is a win-win for both of us.
Great. Well, that was really some great conversation, and I appreciate everyone being here today. I think we've really hit home on some key takeaways, understanding the potential of intelligent automation in healthcare and the impact on various aspects of the system, including patient care, administrative processes, and reducing costs, and Exponent Health's experience and journey with implementing intelligent automation and why they chose qBotica, and insights on the future of intelligent automation in healthcare and how it's changing and shaping the industry. So really, again, thank you all for joining us today. And if you'd like more information on qBotica or to schedule a discovery, Dominic can help. So back to you, Dominic.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.